Our girl is destitute.
What conspiracy theory do you have?
You're the Feyre.
I'm Feyre. He hates Tamlin. He's also a bit of a petty bitch.
And yet, she decides, let me just shoot my shot and see it. I'm like, girl.
Hello.
Hello. Happy Friday. It's our Friday. It's not your Friday.
Friday.
I know.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice.
I mean, I guess mine's this is kind of like my Sunday. I have a job tomorrow, so.
Right. I know it's funny. I've just had so much work that I haven't really had weekends. And also this weekend for all the astrology girlies out there is the Pisces eclipse. So kind of feels like it either could make the weekend great or ruin it. I really don't know at this point.
Good.
Yeah.
I'll log that away.
Yeah. Well, and you're a Pisces rising, so have fun.
Oh, I was gonna say, dang it. No, stop it. I'm already I don't know. I always get anxiety before any job.
No, you'll be fine.
Really. So,
you'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll
Eclipses
be
are just it's big energy that can change stuff, and sometimes it's for the better.
Okay.
So
all right.
yeah.
Big energy. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's kind of funny. I guess the anxiety thing can kind of go into my cauldron, save me for this week. I think not 100% on this, but I think I may be one of those people who is slowly turning gluten intolerant.
No.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
I know. Not allergy. So not celiac,
right.
but because I'm learning that there is a heavy difference, right?
Yes.
That it's celiac, you just you cannot at all.
Right.
Gluten intolerant is you can, you're just agreeing. It's kind of like lactose intolerant, right? Where it's
right.
You can, you're just agreeing to some discomfort later. There's been this, haven't had big fatty sandwiches in a really long time. And there was a 3-day span where every day for lunch I had a really big sandwich, and after lunch I felt not good at all.
Yeah.
Just exhaustion, really big headaches, and a little bit of GI tract issues.
Yeah.
And I always just attributed it to because of what Jeff and I were doing that day, or where we were, or we had to get up earlier than we meant to, or I always kind of blamed on all these other things. And I finally just the third day I just kept bringing it up to Jeff, kept bringing it up. And I was I feel I'm so lethargic. What is happening? And then he was wait a minute, has this been happening every day after you've had a sandwich? And I was I'm sorry, what? And his family, this has happened to his family, to his dad and his sister as they've gotten older. Yeah. And so I immediately started texting his dad, and his dad is just start a food daily log. So I have a little tiny notebook now that I'm starting, where you just write everything you eat, how you feel afterwards. I was oh my God, if there's anything that shows that you're 34 more than having to chart all the food you're eating, because I may have a new intolerance.
Oh, that's so real. I don't think I told you, and I meant to. I've realized something similar to myself, but about alcohol.
You did tell me. Yeah.
I did. Yeah. It was to the point where I can now at most have 2 drinks. And even then I feel not even hungover, but just my body just feels gross after. It was to the point where my family came and visited last week, and whenever they visit, they're treating, so I'll usually have a drink or 2, at dinner. I had 0 alcohol while they were here, because I was I just don't want to feel like crap.
Yeah.
And I had that same moment of yep, I'm solidly 33 now. Yep.
Getting older. Yeah.
Which, hey, I don't mind, because I'm that it makes me healthier, at least.
I was gonna say, selfishly for me, I kind of dig that you're not.
Yes,
that works out really great for me,
Well, it's so funny because I feel being sober has become very chic down here in LA now.
Yes.
There's so much more for sober people to do down here, which I love. And also mind you, I don't I like alcoholic
Yeah,
drinks, but
yeah.
I'm very much a taste person.
Yeah,
Like I've always said I will always choose Martinelli's sparkling cider over champagne, to the
yeah.
point where when David proposed to me, he got
Yep.
Martinelli's instead of
Yep. Yeah, no, I
champagne.
mean, you've never been, like, the person who was like,
Likes the taste of
I
alcohol a
or,
lot.
like, likes the taste or even had the mentality of just, like, "I'm just gonna, like, roar through drinks that taste awful to me so I can get fucking wasted." Like, that's never really been your
Well,
I mean, maybe
at least not
college,
since
but, like, I
college.
was
Yeah.
gonna say, but co college is like, we don't count that, college
That's a
is
hall pass.
college is a very specific time, but, I mean, I feel like later when we got out of college, you were always kind of the one of like, "I want a drink that tastes good, and if
Well,
it gets me drunk, okay, but, like."
not to get us too off track, but do you remember my 21st birthday where we ordered me an Adios Motherfucker, which if you don't know what that is, it's basically a Long Island but blue. So it has a shit ton of liquors. I think this was at Zeitgeist, which was
Oh
a
my
mistake to
god.
order. It was a mistake to order a mixed drink at Zeitgeist because that's a beer garden. And it was so disgusting to me. I just like pawned it off on all of you. I
Yeah.
was like, who wants a sip? Until it was just gone.
Yeah, no, I actually, barely remember that, which should say some things.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm shocked I remember,
Yeah,
honestly.
but anywho, yeah, so
Yes,
that's
gluten,
that's
man.
that's mine, so we'll see. I'll keep you guys posted on my
Yeah.
daily
Your
log
on
journey.
your gluten journey. Well, I'm so sorry. That
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah.
It's never fun to potentially adapt a new food intolerance.
Yeah.
Yeah. My Cauldron Save Me is similarly annoying. So today we're recording, actually, I think the earliest we've ever recorded,
Yeah.
because later today I'm getting my first ever head massage thanks to my sister, who got me a little gift
Woo, woo,
certificate
woo.
for my birthday. So I was like rushing to get ready this morning. And the last thing I always kind of do is like I get my rings, which are like in a little like bowl on my dresser. And as I'm getting my rings out, my wedding ring, my engagement ring,
Mhm.
flies out of the bowl and just goes right behind my dresser, which is anchored to the wall. So I'm like, cool, great. Now we gotta unanchor that shit. And it's like one of those IKEA ones where it's like the anchor is like you have to take out all of the drawers
Yeah,
basically. And then like get your drill and take out the screw for me to get it. And I'm
because
like,
your dresser goes,
cool.
like, all the way to the ground, doesn't it?
Hmm.
So it's not like
Yep.
you could even reach under. Oh god.
And it's like basically flush against the
Yeah,
wall.
the wall.
So yeah.
Oh, that's how did
So annoying.
oh my god, bro. That's like I have lost so many rings to, like, the weirdest scenarios of just, like, it
Yeah.
perfectly flew
Yep.
into the toilet bowl, or, like, it
Yes.
perfectly flew into the tiny crack in the vent, or, like,
Yep.
that is fucking wild. Ugh, that's
So
so annoying.
annoying. And like what's so funny, going back to the eclipse that I mentioned earlier. So for those who don't know, the way you want to find in astrology how any transit, but in this case eclipses, will affect you, you look at the sign of that transit, that in this case the eclipse, and look at what house it's falling
Mm.
into in your chart. And in this case, this Pisces eclipse is falling into my house of marriage. And I'm like, well, there you go. That's a very literal way for this to have panned out. I mean, I suppose it's not the worst thing in the world. So
Well, I'm so honestly, it feels like what you and
what would
David are,
happen?
like, such a great marriage and, like, a great partnership and such, like, a good couple, that I love that the universe is like, "I feel like this
It's
is
the
the
only thing
only
I can do.
thing that we could realistically do to them, because they are
Truly.
just what do you
What do you do?
how do you, like, create shit in this relationship?" Like, it's like, let's just
Well,
make it to where she can't find her wedding ring.
well, and the funniest part is because it's like it's the seventh house, which is it's not just marriage; it's like long-term relationships, which marriage
Yeah.
obviously falls under.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I think I even said to David, I'm like, oh, I know like nothing's gonna happen with us. Like we'll be
Yeah.
fine. If anything, it's gonna be like, I don't know, work relationships or
Right.
like whatever.
Yeah.
And then this happened, and I'm like,
Yeah.
cool.
That is so
Great.
funny.
Yeah, so that's it's very silly, it's very fixable, it's just
Yeah.
gonna be annoying as fuck
Yeah.
getting this
Yeah.
stressor
Yeah.
out of the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my main Cauldron Save Me, but the other one is actually ACOTAR related.
Mm.
I woke up to this news this morning, and like luckily it's been handled.
Mhm.
But apparently, I'm assuming this happened last night, or sometime yesterday. So the artist who does the cover art for the Akatar book, so this lovely, lovely, if you're looking on YouTube, this lovely, like, kind of, I don't even know what type of art you call this, but it's
Yeah.
very pretty.
Yeah.
All the books have it. I guess that they posted that they were working on a new project and like posted kind of the mock-up of it, and people ran with that and assumed it's the Akatar 6 cover, and
Mm.
someone made a fake, I'm assuming Photoshop job, AI job, whatever, and posted that they shared quote unquote screenshots of them DMing that artist and the artist confirming, yeah, this is the cover art for Akatar 6, and it's about, I think, well, I'm not going to say who because that will spoil, but about a certain couple that a lot of people think that
Okay.
book is going to be about.
Yeah.
The main couple everyone thinks it's going to be about.
Yeah.
And yeah, whoever posted those quote unquote DMs, it was a fake. And the artist had to like go on their Instagram and be like, hey guys, this is not real. Like, I never DM'd anyone this. So super annoying.
Yeah.
I'm sure none of our fans do it, but just in case, don't do shit like that. Like, it's not cute. It's not like people will eventually realize you're just clout chasing. You're not even gonna get 15 minutes of fame. Like, just don't do that shit.
Yeah. That's annoying. It's annoying for the
Yeah.
artist too, and, like,
Yeah.
that's just yeah.
On the subreddit post I saw it, the person who posted, that it was a fake said, like, this is actually fucking with like a real person's life. Like,
Yeah.
this could potentially get that person to lose their job.
In, like, a lot of trouble, like, a lot
Yeah.
of trouble because, like,
Yeah.
any of you who have had to sign, like, non-disclosure agreements, like, that's a pretty heavy this artist probably had to go through a lot of approval to even post this,
Yes.
whether it's ACOTAR or not, like, no whatever book
Exactly.
it's a part of, like, and that's just, like I don't understand. I'm sorry, I really don't understand the people who, like, completely fabricate things
Oh,
in
it's so
to
yeah.
that degree, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I understand if there's a particular, like, we all know the internet is fake, like,
Yeah.
things that whatever, but to fabricate to that degree, like, I genuinely don't understand. Like, what do you get out of this? Like, what's your yeah.
Oh, I'm reading this really good book right now called Yellowface.
Mm,
I'm forgetting the author's name, but it was a super popular book, I want to say last year. Super good. And it kind of deals somewhat with this subject of like more so just like internet rumors.
yeah.
Even though in the case of this book, some of them are very much true, but some like are like half truth, half lie, or just like complete lies. And it's in regards, like, the main character is an author. It's about like publishing and
Mm,
stuff. And yeah, it just like it really makes you reflect on like why people on the internet do this type of stuff.
yeah.
And I think what it really comes down to is attention,
Yeah,
right? Like,
absolutely.
and it just, in the case of something like this, it just looks really pathetic.
Yeah, it does.
So whoever did that, like, you should really feel ashamed of yourself. And
Yeah.
like, to everyone out there listening, like, again, I'm sure none of our fans do, but just in case you've ever considered, don't.
Yeah,
Like, it's
it's not
really not
worth
cute.
it. It's
No.
not worth it. Yeah.
So,
Oy, wow,
yeah.
that's fun.
Yeah.
I'm excited that artist is working on something, whether it's ACOTAR
I
or not. Huzzah
know.
for them. It's always
I know.
lovely to see freelance artists working.
Oh, especially this day and age. And like their art on, I forgot the artist's name, so I'm so sorry. But like the cover art for the Avatar series is like some of
Really,
my favorite, honestly.
yeah,
It's so cool.
it's very
So
cool.
cool.
It's very cool.
It's very like tattooy, which
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love.
totally. It's very cool. Okay, well, on the sort of like businessy notes, Ariel and
Yes.
I realized recently, or I guess 2 days ago or
You
so, or
realized.
3 days.
Yeah.
I texted Ariel a few days ago being like, "We messed up. We started a watery bowel counter
Yep.
many moons ago,
Mhm.
and add we did not mention that in last week's episode, last week's chapters, in chapter 34 on page 301, we have our next watery bowel moment.
She's back.
She's
Back with
back,
a
baby.
vengeance.
It's right after Feyre realizes that Jurian is the eye in the ring.
Yeah.
And so she's flipping out. It's after they've been talking like for a little bit. Basically, Amarantha is making all these comments of just like, you know, things have been awfully boring since Claire decided to die on me. Killing you outright human would be dull. But fate stirs the cauldron in strange ways. Perhaps my darling Claire had to die in order for me to have some true amusement with you. And then the next line says, my bowels turned watery. I couldn't help it. So we have two. We got two watery bowels. And then after that is when she proceeds to bring up that she's going to give her tasks. But Ariel and I felt like it was a disservice that we did not
Oh,
continue our watery bowel counter. We're so sorry.
so sorry.
Here we are. So that's a little cleanup from last episode.
Little cleanup of the watery
Watery
bowels. No,
bowels.
it's funny. At this point, like, I think it's become such a joke in the fandom of how much she says it that, like, I'm shocked we're only at 2 at this point.
Yeah, I think it's because it comes up more later in the series, or it's just that it's such you remember
Vivid
when
imagery.
yes, it's such a visceral phrase that you remember if someone says it once, you know?
Right,
So
right.
I feel like although we're kind of like proving that wrong, the fact that we like forgot to bring it up, but
Yeah.
it's more that it's like it's such a descriptive, vivid phrase that I think the main reason why people comment on it is that it's like it can be brought up once in a book and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that's why. And I do think that I think it pops up more later, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I think you're right. I mean, without going into detail, a lot of crazy shit goes on in the
Yeah.
next 2 books, so it's
Yeah.
probably more so in those.
Yeah.
Speaking of crazy shit, though.
Yeah, so chapter 35. So where we left Feyre, she had agreed to the tasks that Amarantha is going to give her. She's going to be there for 3 months.
Yeah.
And pretty much
Minimum.
once she she agrees to this bargain with Amarantha, she gets the shit beat out of her
Yes.
and blacks out.
And before that, though, she's also told by Amarantha that the way to get around these tasks is she can answer a riddle that she will give her, and we find out about in this chapter.
Yeah.
So basically on page 314, Feyre says she's thinking about the riddle, right? And the phrasing of how Amarantha basically the bargain that they struck with this riddle, right? And she notices that Amarantha only said they would be released immediately in regards to the riddle. So she says on 314, immediately she said, as opposed to, wait, had the conditions of my trials been different from those of the riddle? She emphasized immediately only when talking about solving the riddle.
Mm-hmm.
And this, she mentions it twice because she mentioned it again later on the same page, saying, not to mention the nagging feeling that she might have wound up tricking me with this bargain when she'd emphasized immediately regarding the riddle.
Yeah.
Maybe she meant she would not free us immediately after I finished her trials, that she can take however long she wanted. So this is like kind of haunting Feyre a bit. And I fucking get why. Like, they are very tricky. I mean, we know they're tricky with their words and this is a very different reasonable way, but now knowing this has all been a curse, Tamlin and Lucien and Alice and everyone she's kind of known so far has been very tricky with how they've described the blight, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So she has experience with this already.
Yeah.
And those were the good guys.
Yeah.
So I get why she's scared.
Yeah. We talked about it a lot in the last spoiler-free episode for last week, but like this is all so wildly overwhelming. Like in my mind, this is so much for Feyre to like keep track of. Like she's got to be aware of the phrasing. She's got to be aware of her body and herself. She's got to be like she's worried about Tamlin. She's worried about like there's so much occurring that like it makes complete sense to me that she would lose track of like specific phrase. Like these are minute details that like the Fae will hold against like especially Amarantha, but like Fae in general, as you've already said, are very tricky with their words. And so it's like Like, this will be held against her if she
Yeah.
does not remember the specific phrasing of these things. It's scary. And but yeah, like this is like a whole this is so overwhelming. Like it stresses me out thinking about how much she needs to keep track of.
Yeah.
And when in reality, the biggest thing she needs to keep track of is just fucking staying alive. But it's like she
Yep.
has to do like so much more than that. So yeah, there's a lot of trickiness. And it's funny that you like jump to that because
Yeah.
even on the first page of chapter 35, she talks about how like Amarantha had said a cell was to be where I would spend my time.
Yeah.
And she realizes she's in a dungeon. This whole beginning of this chapter is actually my sound moment
Nice.
just
Oh,
because it's so visceral and like I don't know if this like exposes the amount of like fantasy or romancy like style of books that I've read, but any of you guys who have read a lot of these like style of books, or even if you haven't, like there is normally a dungeon at some fucking point, right? Like
yep.
there is some kind of cell, dungeon, jail, prison, like it's gonna be there. It's whether
Yeah.
your hero is in it or they're visiting one, like it's just a thing.
Yeah.
And what I love about dungeons is this commonality of dripping water. There is always
Yeah.
literally her second sentence in the chapter is this is page 304. The sound of dripping water first, then the fading echo of heavy footsteps. But like always, always in dungeons. And I think it's because, dungeons are underground. So there's normally, you are under, you've dug down into the earth to a degree to create this dungeon. So like water dripping kind of makes sense because like, you can't seal everything up. I won't get into like building logistics, but it's just
Yeah.
like there's a logic to it. But I just love this always like you hear it, right? You hear that
Yeah.
echoey water drip, don't you? So I think this whole kind of portion, um, I would honestly say probably like the first 2 pages of this chapter, pretty much before Lucien shows up. I think it is there's a lot of kind of fun sound things that I think you can do because she's doing the recap in her mind, right? Of
Yeah.
kind of like first she's waking up, she's clocking, because last she knows she was getting the shit beat out of her in a throne room, right?
Right.
So she comes to with these sounds. She's realizing all of her injuries. Her nose is broken. Her lip is busted. She's got probably 2 black eyes because her eyes are wildly swollen. Um, and there's kind of like her weapons aren't with her anymore. Her whole body hurts. Um, like she's doing the kind of like reconnaissance. And I just think
Yes.
while all of this is happening, there's like a lot of sound stuff that you could do here of like obviously you would do, I would want to do the classic like, you know, she gets punched so hard everything goes to black and then you sit in blackness and then you hear water dripping, you
Yeah.
hear echo of heavy footsteps, you get the slow eye opening, the eye focus, you get all of that. I guess this is kind of turning into a director moment. I'm like directing how you would do this whole thing.
No,
But
please.
and then I think it's a lot of like your like I'm sure inevitably you'd probably have like a film score come in at some point, but like I think
Yeah.
it's a kind of really punctuating this like separation between her and whatever the other sounds are. Like she is
Right.
everything sounds distant. She's very much alone. Um and like isolation, right? And so
Yeah.
like a lot of echoing, a lot of just sort of being in her space, a lot of just listening to her breathing, the scraping of her when she kind of gathers her knees to her chest, like this the scraping of all of that, and kind of while she's thinking about all these things. And like one of the things
Yeah.
I love about the beginning of this chapter is Feyre is like already she is continuing to show us her survival mode, right? Like on 305, she's like, I couldn't panic. No, I had to keep my tears in check, had to keep my wits together. I had to survey the damage as best I could, then figure out what to do. Like she's in that survival mode. She's in the like, okay, you know, we're not giving up yet. Like what do I need to fix? And I think it's a really cool moment of stuff you can play around with. Whether it just stays very diegetic, which means like sounds that actually are happening in the scene that you hear, or whether it turns into some non-diegetic stuff, which would be like, stuff that wouldn't happen in the space. So like, a low drone or like something like that. Like I just
Right.
think because she does then kind of descend into this whole guilt trip that she starts giving
Yes.
herself, right?
Yes.
Same page, 305. She's like, I'd as good as tortured her myself about Clare. What had she made of all this? All these fairies lusting after her blood and misery. I deserved this, deserved whatever pain and suffering was in store. If only for what she'd endured, but I would make it right somehow. So it's this whole portion of her doing these very human things, but also just being wildly impressive of like the guilt trip happens, but she's like, she makes it a source of strength. She makes her guilt about Clare her like fuel to continue forward, while she's
Yeah.
also been like, okay, can I see? Can I hear? Like, what are all my
Right.
things? And then what's so fun is this moment ends, this sound moment that we've been creating. It ends with her falling asleep and then waking up to a door opening.
Yeah.
Right? So like this there is a beginning and end to this sound moment that then brings us into Lucien.
Well, I think it's so clever that you chose this section because I think it's the perfect moment for to really like amplify or have sound be kind of like almost like the main character
Mhm.
in the scene because for those who know screenwriting, like the big rule in screenwriting is show don't tell, right? So all this inner dialogue that Feyre is having, you can't really show that, or you can't really tell the
Yeah.
audience that, right? Like, unless you did
Mm.
narration, which would be really cheesy, honestly, I think. So I think to show what she's feeling through sound is really smart. And I actually had a little idea. Can
Yeah, I
I
just
can
had an
I
idea too
suggest?
that I wanna see if it's the same idea. So
I know,
go,
me
go,
too.
go.
I wonder. Okay, so there's the part where, as she's thinking of all this, she hears someone being tortured, like down the hall. What if it like morphed? I knew it was gonna say more from like maybe like a male because I think she might say it sounds like a male voice into a female voice.
Yes.
That is Claire.
It's Claire. 100%.
Yeah.
That's exactly I
See?
was like, wait, what's awesome. I'm so glad that you brought up that she heard a scream down
Yeah.
I love how like that was absolutely something a part of my sound thing that I forgot to bring up. Yeah, she says like somewhere not too far, screaming began, a high-pitched pleading bleat, accentuated with crescendos of shrieking that made bile sting in my throat. I might sound like that when faced with Amarantha, which is why she does lead to this idea of I as good as tortured Claire.
Right.
100%. No. Thank you so much
Ugh.
for bringing that up because I would
Oh
have
my
done
god. Yeah.
such a disservice to this portion to not include that. Absolutely. No, I love that idea because that would be such a good way to tell everyone what she's thinking about. It starts with this
Yes.
like maybe male, maybe kind of animalistic sort of sound. And then
Yeah.
it could descend into maybe you hear a bit of a female scream, and then it even ends with a kind of like a taunting Amarantha laugh or something.
Yeah.
So that way you kinda,
Or like she says like my name is my or like she says her name
like, she just that
somehow like
screams Claire
yeah.
or, like, whatever. But, yeah,
Yeah.
I and then that kinda ending with then her, like, falling asleep. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I love that, I love that, I love that
Love
idea.
we did our usual brain
Yeah,
fusion thing.
mind
I
meld.
love
Yeah,
teamwork.
yeah, but I can't believe I almost forgot to bring up the other
No.
person being tortured. Thank you for saying that.
Oh my god, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this leads into her door opening, and it's Lucian. Thank fucking God. He's here to
Ooh!
kind of help save the day. I have so many questions of like how he got. I mean, I guess he explains the guards are drunk, so there's that. But like Lucian is very sneaky, I
Yeah,
will say. And
very
so I
sneaky.
do have some questions. But yeah, like
Dude.
he s I just need people to give our girl a fucking break
God
here,
damn it,
okay?
bro. Like, you're so excited. Like, at first, like, you're like, "Thank fucking God it's a friend." And then, like, the first fucking thing, this guy, "Have you lost your mind? What are you doing here? You shouldn't have come
Yeah.
here. You weren't meant to be here." Bro.
Well, and I was so proud of her because
Yeah,
at a certain point she
yeah,
says, "Well, I'm here now.
yeah,
I'm here, and there's nothing that can be done about it. So don't bother telling me about my weak human flesh and my stupidity." It's like, thank God she's finally standing up for herself because it's like, on the one hand, if I'm gonna like really devil's advocate
yeah,
this, like
yeah,
I understand he's saying to her, like, you kind of fucked us over
yeah,
more.
yeah,
But on the other hand, it's like you also didn't give her a ton of information, which, like, in all fairness, he couldn't have.
yeah,
And like, I don't know, it's proving she really fucking loves your best friend, bro. Like, and you to a degree, like as a friend. Like
yeah,
she knows you're here too. So like, can we at least be grateful that
yeah,
she's trying to help in the only way she can?
yeah. Exactly. And, like, it feel like, yes, gavel, gavel,
Yeah.
yes, she's a human, you guys are Fae. There is definitely she's hardcore underdog. It's also, like, that idea of just, like, watching someone trip and then you go, "Careful,"
Right.
after they tripped. It's
Yes.
like, this is not constructive to say this to her
No.
right now. That's
No.
why I love that because that's basically what she's saying when she's like, "I'm here now." Like, why
Yeah.
are you wasting energy, like, yelling at me right now? Like, this to me
Yeah.
feels like such a male ego moment. Like, this feels
100%.
so like, I just have to come in and just, like, let you know that this is wrong. And you're just like, "Bro, fuck, what the fuck?"
Especially because she's beaten to shit.
Yeah.
Like, he knows he has got, like, a little bit of time to fix her up, so it's like, why are you wasting this time
Yeah.
just, like, tearing her a new one when you could be fucking fixing her nose?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, because like, it'd be one thing if he was like, "You can't be here. I'm gonna get you out right now." Like, that
mhm.
that would be like, "Okay, sure, you're a little more justified in kinda giving her shit about being there if you're literally then going to change it."
Yes.
I mean, understandably, he can't. Like, I I
Right.
I feel like this is like I'm with you. It's even shocking that he chanced coming down here. And I mean,
Yeah.
there's also this other side of it, I think, that it is a really big like, Lucien is putting himself in a really severe level of danger, and so
Yes.
it almost like it also kind of feels a little bit of like a Lucien thing of like where he's gonna kinda like minimize how actually dangerous this is for him to be there by just immediately starting to kinda rip her a new one, you
True,
know?
true.
Like like, it kind of feels a little Lucien to just be like, "Yeah, I'm here, but, like, fuck you," like, I don't know, because you does immediately stop if he hadn't said all of this immediately, this could have been, like, this really tender moment between these 2, and so
Right.
it almost feels like Lucien was, like, trying to avoid a tender moment and was just like, "Nah, I came down here to berate you."
You know what I fear? I
Yeah.
fear this is, Lucian is kind of pulling a big sister move.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
your little sibling, like, got drunk at a party they
Yeah.
shouldn't have been at, you know,
Yeah.
like, they got in some trouble and you come to the
Yeah.
rescue, like, and you're just like, "God fucking damn it, why did you come here?
Yeah.
Why are you do but, like, I'm here now and I'm fucking
"Here's
helping
your
you," like
Gatorade.
exactly, like, Lucian is low key a big sister,
Eat your Taco
honestly,
Bell."
and this doesn't spoil anything, but, like, he kind of, if you think about it, continues to
He really
be
does. He
a
really
big
does.
sister
Well,
throughout the
what's actually
series.
really funny though is we almost did this exact same comparison for Alice and like how Alice
Yeah,
treats her. So it's kind of
yeah,
funny, like maybe this is just like a Faye thing or
yeah.
something. Yeah, it is kind of funny the comparison we just made between the two because really this moment, him coming down is a huge deal,
Yeah.
and like it is wildly annoying that he uses the first half of it to be like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" But I also I do love too that she's very honest with him, right? Like she's
Yeah.
like, "I had to tell him that I love him."
Yeah.
Like I think she is no more doing this like Farrah's not trying to be cool right now. Like
No.
she's like, I
Fuck it.
am. fucked up. I'm in a dungeon. Like, I just wanted to tell him that I love him and see if I could break the curse, you know? And then
Yep.
Lucian's like, "Oh, so we know everything. Okay."
Yeah.
You know, like that's the other moment too is like Lucian's like, "Oh, this is okay, good. We can talk about like all
Yeah.
this stuff." But yeah, like this is a pretty big deal. And I also think, it's really interesting too that there is this whole moment of like he can't heal her fully, right?
Right.
Because then
Yes.
someone would know that she had been helped,
Right.
right?
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of questions of like, yeah, he said that the guards are drunk and they're like changing shifts. So there's like a window, but it's
Yeah.
like, how long has he been studying them to know this? How long has he
Right.
been? And is this purely Lucian or did Tamlin tell him to come down?
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions and also the whole power question, right? Like she talks about,
Yeah.
you know, like, I thought she'd taken most of your powers, right? And he said, she gave me back a fraction to entice Tamlin to accept her offer, but he still refuses her. So he says, she gave me back a fraction to entice Tamlin to accept her offer, but he still refuses her.
Right.
So Lucian has a bit more power, which
Yeah.
is interesting.
Yeah. There's some bargaining going on for sure.
Yeah.
Even if it's minor. Or at least, some breadcrumbing, I guess you could call it, to get Tamlin to cave, right?
Yeah, which I'm pretty fascinated by this whole idea that Tamlin is still refusing her.
Yeah. Why?
Like on one end, on the, you want Feyre and Tamlin together. You're like,
Right.
hell yeah, brother.
Well,
But
and he
on
could be refusing her even more so than he had previously because he's in love with Feyre.
right. But then on the other, I'm a little like, could Feyre have not been in danger anymore if you had just agreed?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
it's it's a maybe conversation for another time. But
Yes.
I don't know. I was very surprised by this statement because I was like, I mean, you're here. Is there some kind of conniving? I mean, I don't know. It's not very fairy tale for him
No,
to
and
say yes. So I get why we're kind of down this route, but I don't know.
totally. I do wonder on a practical level. I mean, it's Amarantha knows
Yeah.
he's in love with her.
Yeah.
And I think that his strategy right now is to show he's pretending to not care about Farah to keep her safe, right?
Right. So
Because
what better way then to prove
well,
he
because
doesn't yeah.
I think that if he were to cave to Amarantha, like when Feyre
Like
got
now,
there,
it'd be obvious.
yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be very obvious. Like, oh, you're just doing this because you care about this human. And then Amarantha wouldn't even give her these trials or this riddle to potentially break the curse.
Yeah.
Like she would just kill her there because I think it'd be very obvious to Amarantha. Amarantha, not for nothing, Amarantha, if anything, is very, very smart, right?
Yeah.
And I think what she would probably do is go like, "Oh, okay, you want to be with me? Cool, you're with me now. Kill her."
Yeah.
Because clearly
That's
you don't care. You don't care for her then.
That's that
So
is that's a very good that's a very good point. You're right. It could actually like right now he is very much stuck between like a rock and a hard place.
yeah, which is, I
Yeah.
mean, it fucking sucks. The other thing that happens in the scene as Lucian's kind of like assessing Farah's wounds is, like you said, he realizes she knows pretty much everything. She asks him, "So you're trapped under the mountain too?" He says she summoned all the high lords to her now, and even those who swore obedience are now forbidden to leave until your trials are over.
Which I have a slight
And
question about
then,
that.
yeah,
Weren't they all already under the mountain?
I don't think so. So, oh, yeah, actually,
Yeah, I
kind of like
know.
the ball
I
thing,
know.
it's very vague.
I
I
know.
think most were at the very least. I think the 3 families, it was 3 or 4 courts that revolted. It was like it was
Summer or
winter, summer, I
dawn
dawn, or I think day, and like maybe one other. Whichever one's revolted, I'm sure
have been
she
there.
kept them. You know what it could be? Because, we do know that at the very least, Rhysand, who, as a reminder, is High Lord of the Night Court, he's been allowed to leave. So I wonder if, like,
I
she's kept them under the mountain but has allowed some to
I
leave,
know, but he
kind of like
says she
Rhysand.
summoned all the High Lords to her now, and even those who swore obedience are now forbidden to leave until so it makes it sound like it's two different things, though.
It's a little plot holy. You know what I mean?
That is the one
Um,
thing I will say about
yeah.
yeah, yeah, about this one a little bit. There's some ones with the curse and the things that I'm like,
Yeah.
"What?"
The other books are much better from what I remember as
From a
not
plot
from
hole
not having.
perspective, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. The other thing we find out as they're kind of talking is we find out more details about how Jurian became the Eye Ring, which is
Dude.
kind of gory. They wrecked their entire battlefields using their soldiers as shields until their forces were nearly all dead. Jurian had been gifted some protection against her, but once they entered into single combat, it didn't take her long to render him prone. Then she dragged him back to her camp and took weeks to torture him and kill him. So he's killed, okay? She refused orders to march to the King of Hybern's aid, cost him his armies in the war. She refused to do anything until she finished Jurian's demise, which is interesting because he's dead at this point.
Mhm.
Uh, all that she kept was his finger bone and his eye. Clithia promised him that he would never die. And so long as Amarantha keeps keeps the eye of his preserved through her magic, keeps his soul and consciousness bound to him, he'll remain trapped, watching through it. A fitting punishment for what he did. Lucien taps his own missing eye and says, I'm glad she didn't do the same to me. Seems like she has an obsession with that sort of thing. So this is really interesting because
Woof.
Jurian's a human, yet there's some thing that Clithia talks about that I don't know if she's the one who gave him this ability. I don't know how she would have, but somehow he can't actually die. But Lucien also makes it seem like Amarantha is the one who's keeping him alive by keeping his soul and consciousness bound to this ring and finger bone.
Huh.
That's interesting. Because, yeah, it says Clithia promised him that he would never die.
Right, well, that's interesting that you read it that way. Because
Oh,
I read it as it was kind of this, like, really nasty, ironic thing that ends up happening to Jurian. That Clithia had this sort of
oh,
lofty, like, "I will never let
promise.
you die," and it's this
Yeah.
really kind of gross thing of like, "And, well, Amarantha kept it true because she left his
Ah,
consciousness in an eyeball." Like, that's how
yeah.
I personally
That makes more
read
sense.
that.
That makes more sense.
Amarantha clearly completely like, her sister's death breaks her so hard because
Yeah.
instead like, she is taking weeks to torture this guy,
Mhm.
and while she's in the middle of torturing, she's being told by her king, "I need you." And she's like, "No, I'm gonna stay and torture this guy." Lucien even says that it costs Hybern the war for her to stay and torture Jurian.
Yeah. Well, and this is centuries, mind you, before she becomes the deceiver, before she fully cons the King of Hybern.
Right. So, it's like, wow. Like,
Yeah.
this what happens between Jurian and Amarantha's sister, like, severely fucks Amarantha up to where she has lost all sense of, like, purpose, really.
Yeah. It shows like she really has no loyalties to anyone but herself and her sister,
Mm,
right?
mm.
Like no loyalties whatsoever. Which I think we'll continue to really see
Yeah.
examples of. Cuz yeah, think about like, we don't know exactly what she told all the high lords, but I'm sure she made
Oh,
promises.
yeah.
Like she is a I feel like she is what humans imagine Allfey to be, of like these just trickster,
Yeah.
evil monsters,
Yeah.
basically. And so you can kind of understand when you have someone like Amarantha. I mean, at this point, she's ruled over Prithian for almost 50 years.
Yeah.
You know, I could understand why humans, if they hear anything regarding her or just even vaguely related to her, think, oh, well, yeah, like all Fae are monsters,
Yeah.
you know? She ain't helping their reputation, is what I'll say.
No, and I mean, I doubt that the humans are actually hearing anything about, like, Amarantha, like, specifically, because 'cause it's been this
Yeah.
huge secret really this whole time, but I
Right.
but, like, to go along with what you're saying, any of these I mean, we as we learned a few chapters ago, like, Amarantha's been sending monsters out to, like, fuck around for, like, a while, right? So, like, even in the beginning of the book when we're with the merchant, our or the mercenary, our sweet baby girl,
Yeah.
they're talking about scary fucking fairies coming over, and
Right.
it's Amarantha. So,
Well,
yes, 100% to what you're saying of, like, she is the epitome of everything bad that humans have ever thought about the Fae, like, ever.
Well, and I actually could see maybe some rumors that, like, through the inevitable game of telephone kind of get warped. I could see them make like stuff about Amarantha kind of making its way back to the humans through that in that sense, because remember,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it was one of the last chapters.
Yeah.
It's kind of established that
Children of the
the
Blessed.
children of the blessed, their whole purpose
Good
for at
point.
least a while has been to for the courts to communicate with one another
Yeah.
because of
Yeah,
Amarantha.
it's a
So
really good
I
point.
could I could see maybe like not her name, but just like her reputation,
Yeah, totally.
right?
Totally. No, it's
And
a
it
really good
gets
point.
it just gets bastardized,
Yeah,
through,
just gets bastardized.
how rumors happen. But
Yeah.
speaking of the bitch herself.
Well, okay, sorry. Before
Oh,
we
yeah.
before we come back into her, I love
Yeah.
this like classic fucking rom-com romantic fantasy fucking bullshit that happens where she's slightly healed, hurt. She's got this interesting information from Lucien, and we are finally about to start asking questions about Tamlin, and then fucking Lucien has to leave, and you're just like,
Yep, yep.
ah, like it's so annoying.
It's
But
so
and
annoying.
it's so class. You know what I'm talking about when I say like
Oh,
rom com. Like it just
absolutely.
feels so like
It's a trope
come
at this point.
on,
Yeah.
and but like I just think it's very annoying. And it's also fascinating because you know that I personally think that Feyre is about to ask, like, is Tamlin under a spell?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Lucien thinks that she's just asking, is he okay?
Right.
You know?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could totally see that.
Yeah. But yeah.
Well, we do see Tamlin a little bit in
Yeah.
this next part.
Yeah.
Amarantha does bring Feyre to her, what would you call it? Not chamber, but like the main part of the mountain, the throne
The
room.
throne room.
Uh, and she tells her, I couldn't sleep last night and I realized why this morning. I don't know your name. If you and I are going to be such close friends for the next 3 months, I should know your name, shouldn't I? And that's on page 309. And this kind of kicks off a small series of events that I think are like pretty telling.
Yeah.
Initially, Feyre won't obviously give her name for understandable reasons. So what does Amarantha do? She brings out Rhysand. And we know what Rhysand is capable of in terms of shredding minds.
Yeah.
Yes, he's very scary, but we get a hint that he might be playing his own game,
Yeah.
because when Rhysand is brought out,
Yeah.
Amarantha asks him, "Is this the girl you saw at Tamlin's estate?" This is on page 310, and it says, Rhysand brushes some invisible dust off his tunic, and then it says, his violet eyes held boredom and disdain. I suppose, he says. But did you or did you not tell me that girl, Amarantha said, her tone sharpening as she pointed to Clare, was the one you saw? He stuffed his hands into his pockets. Humans all look alike to me. So that's weird. And even Feyre clocks it, because
Yeah.
then she says, humans all look alike. I didn't believe him for a second. Rhys knew exactly how I looked. He'd recognized me that day at the manor. So that's and then
Yeah.
Amarantha demands from him, what's her name? And then he says, how would I know? She lied to me, which, like, that's at least fair.
Yeah.
But Feyre says enjoying toying with Amarantha was a joke to him, as much as a joke as impaling a head in Tamlin's garden, or it was just more court scheming.
Yeah.
So she's kind of picking up
Yeah.
that Rhys potentially
Yeah.
has his own game
Yeah.
going on. Which, if you know anything about books, fictional or otherwise, or just stories where there's courts involved, like royalty,
Yeah.
it's very common that, people within those courts have their own agenda and have their own games that they're
Yeah.
playing. So I feel it's a trope kind of at this point
Yeah.
and it spans genres. It's not just romantic. Like, if you've ever seen the show The Great, for instance, like that's based on
Yeah.
real life. Like
Yeah.
it's very common, but it definitely raised I don't want to say like a red flag, but a like it raised it perked my ears up.
Some questions.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we haven't been given a shit ton of information about Rhysand at this
Other than
point,
he's
like at
evil.
all, other than he's the High Lord of the Night Court and he's evil and he's very scary. So this little moment is very like he could have so easily just been like, yeah, she lied to me about her name, but this is the girl I saw there. Like it
Yeah.
wouldn't do anything like it. And so for him to not do that, you kind of start this like
Why is he not?
it. Yeah, we just have more question marks, I feel like, around this character.
Well, especially because like it's established pretty quickly and it's continued in this chapter. He could easily just dig into her mind and get
Yeah,
her name.
exactly. So it is,
So like why?
yes. Have like a bit of a weird beef with Sarah too, because
Mm,
there's like a slight level of like hotness around this guy that I'm like a little annoyed
yeah.
by.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I feel this is very common for the romantasy genre of like a villain to be like, I mean, Amarantha's hot,
yeah, but like she
right?
said, like
Like,
night still seemed to ripple off him like some near invisible cloak.
yeah.
And like his like nonchalantness, like how she constantly brings up how he like has his hands in his pockets and he's like, which is also terrifying. Like the fact
Oh,
that,
yeah.
because she even says, jumping around here, but after this sort of moment with Lucien happens,
Yeah.
and she says like he never took his hands out of his pockets. It's annoying and terrifying because you're like, wow, this bro doesn't have to do anything. He literally just
Yeah.
stands there and just terrifying things are happening. But there's also like, I don't know if this like exposes me, but there's also this like level of like semi-hotness about it that I'm like, all right, I don't
Oh,
enjoy
I
it.
get it.
Like, can we not like,
It's confusing. And I think it's meant to be confusing,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah,
Like, and again, this,
romantasy.
it's romantasy, dark romantasy. I think that's a big difference is like, I think at this point, the first half of this book you could argue is just romantasy, kind of more fairy tale
Yeah,
romantasy. But I think by now we know we're dark romantasy. Like this would not be in a lighter,
yeah.
like the Under the Mountain stuff would not be in a
Oh
lighter
no,
romantasy book.
no.
Um so and I think, that's a trope. Like even the bad guys tend to be hot.
Hot,
There's
yeah.
something definitely going on with Rhysand
Yeah.
for sure. The thing I'm personally more so annoyed with though is so when Feyre doesn't answer what her name is, and then Rhysand says, I don't know what her name is. Amarantha has the adder snatch up Lucien,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the part that annoys me, well, two things. First off, we see his family
Yeah.
for the first time,
His brothers are there.
which is wild. All four remaining of his brothers, because remember, Tamlin killed, I believe, two. They
Mhm.
come out and they're smiling, which is
Ugh.
just so fucking gross.
It's really gross.
Especially knowing his history with
Yeah.
his family, which reminder, he left the spring court because his brothers were basically given the instructions by his dad to murder the love of his life.
Yeah.
For being a lesser fairy. So ill.
Yeah.
Terrible people. But then Amarantha turns to Tamlin and as she has Lucien kind of in front of her and basically is, I think at this point, she's basically at least implied that if he doesn't answer directly, something bad is going to happen to him.
Yeah.
And she says to Tamlin her name, and he doesn't reply. And it says his eyes were fixed on Lucien's brothers as if marking who was smiling the broadest. And I'm like, that's your best bro, my guy.
Yeah.
Like, and I get he's in a very compromising situation of like he can either give Amarantha the name of the woman he loves,
Yeah.
or he can save his best friend. So like again, rock in a hard place.
Yeah.
But also it's like, I mean, I guess Rhysand is there so he could like be kind of her lie detector. Why doesn't Tamlin just give her like make up a name? You know?
This chapter, I have now reached this kind of place of like, I need Tamlin to do something.
Yeah.
Like I was very with him with staying quiet in the beginning because he was kind of
Yes.
doing the whole selling of Clare Beddor. He was doing all of that, and I completely get that, and I was with him.
Right.
But like, no reaction when it comes to Feyre, and the most like the quote you just said is showing a level of defensive for Lucien, right?
Yeah.
Why can we not do that for Feyre? Like, it's just, you know what I
Yes.
mean? And
Yeah.
I know it's probably because he is probably more terrified for Feyre than he is for Lucien. Like, let's
Right.
be honest.
I mean, he's Fae, so he's not as like physically fragile as Feyre
Yeah,
is.
what I also meant is that he's probably he probably knows that he is more dispensable than Feyre is.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
It's a
But
dark realization, but he probably knows that. And
yeah.
but still, like, I'm a little like, Tamlin, I need a little bit of something. Because Feyre, even
Yes.
towards the end on like 313, after the riddle is like said, she says, like, everything became thick and murky. Why did Tamlin do nothing? Say nothing.
Mhm.
What had Lucien been about to say before he fled my cell? Like, because also by this point, Lucien has told us that Tamlin is still refusing Amarantha. So
Yeah.
there's not this guise that he's selling that he's magically in love with her and everything she does
No.
is wonderful. If that was like the thing that he's trying to do, then okay, you would make sense that he wouldn't show any kind of response. But like
Yeah.
he is still fighting her. So then why, like, I don't know. I'm hoping there's something that we don't know, because this slight inaction, or even, I don't expect him to run off the throne and do something, but just
Right.
a reaction, something.
I think, I'm putting my first reader cap on and,
Yeah.
and trying to remember like kind of how I felt at this point when I first read this book. I think what I was thinking was like either he has a really covert strategy
Yeah.
that even I can't figure out
Yeah.
quite yet, which would make sense because like Amarantha's fucking smart,
Yeah.
or he has no strategy. But
Yeah.
it's got to be one or the other. And that's a really
Scary.
that I mean, yeah, it's 50-50 odds and I don't like that.
Because also at this point, Amarantha knows who Feyre is. Like, she
Right.
knows that that Feyre is connected to Tamlin, and she can already
Yes.
tell that Tamlin does have a certain amount of feelings for her. So there is a
Yeah.
level of like hiding we don't have to do anymore. So I just don't.
Right.
So now it has actually made me go maybe more back to where Feyre's brain has been, of thinking
Yeah.
he is under a spell, because it's
Right.
like we're getting fucking nothing from him.
Right. Although, well, we kind of do though, because in the chapter where Fair is first under the mountain,
Mm.
when she's about to strike the bargain,
Yeah.
he looks at her and is basically like, no. And then I think him look like fixing his eyes on Lucian's brothers
Yeah.
that tells me like at least part of Tamlin
Is there.
is is there.
Yeah.
Maybe not all of him. Maybe there's a spell that can do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there is some consciousness to Tamlin right now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's very dark, especially because like what almost happens to Lucian is Reese almost breaks his mind,
Yeah.
which like we don't know the full extent to his powers yet, but we do know that what was it like a dozen younglings from the
Yeah.
Winter Court, their minds were broken,
Yeah.
which implied I think it implied that they died because of
Yeah.
it. So, um, luckily, thank God, Feyre is a fucking hero and tells Amarantha her name before it seems like Reese is even able to really like do anything to Lucian. But I mean, it's she's a human,
Yeah.
right? And Tamlin's a high lord.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of just like, buddy, like
Bro.
either something is happening behind the scenes that we do not know
Yeah.
about, and I hope that's it. Otherwise, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. Lucien was prepared to lose
Yeah.
his mind for Feyre, which
Yeah.
is like, whether he's doing it for Feyre, whether he's doing it for Tamlin, like, wow.
Yeah.
The dedication there is
He's a ride or die.
he's a ride or die, man. Because it like literally
Yeah.
says it's like Lucien kept his eyes shut, ready. He was ready for Rhysand to wipe out everything he was, to turn his mind, his self into dust.
Like,
That's so scary. And bro was fucking ready. Like,
yeah,
that's I keep trying to find a better word than sweet because it's so much
I
more than
know.
sweet. But I don't know. There's kind of in like in trials, or in trials and in hard times
Yeah.
is when we really find out who is like our our people,
Right,
And like
right.
this is like such a like exaggerated situation, but like
No,
I
but for
don't know.
real.
This is a moment here that I think is really important on multiple ends.
Yes.
Because she even brings up on 312
Mm,
about like Pharaoh talking about Amarantha about Rhysand. The fact that
yeah.
he still has this much power is
Right,
terrifying because she's kind of like
right.
whether she allowed him more than others or if this is just him at his base, that
Yeah,
is very scary. So like we're learning a bit
yeah.
more about Rhysand. We're learning Lucian's loyalty, which is really insane. And our baby girl stays true to herself. She's like, I'm just gonna fucking say my name. Like, why would I let him at this point? What does Amarantha having Feyre's name? What does it do? She's already captured. Like, does it do
Well,
anything?
and she even says, "Thank God she didn't ask for her last name," 'cause the one thing would be if she went and found her family,
Ah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But luckily, Amarantha does not ask for her last
Yeah.
name, thank God. So, yeah, giving her actual name seems to not really be anything of it's not hurting her,
Yeah.
right? But she does give her name,
Yeah.
and then that's when Amarantha gives the infamous riddle.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read the riddle. I know you've all read it, but just as a reminder, the riddle is on page 313 and it goes, "There are those who seek me a lifetime, but never we meet, and those I kiss, but who trample me beneath ungrateful feet. At times I seem to favor the clever and fair, but I bless all those who are brave enough to dare. By large, my ministrations are soft handed and sweet, but scorned, I become a difficult beast to defeat. For those, each of my strikes lands a powerful blow. When I kill, I do it slow." Which I just gotta say as a side note, I'm assuming Amarantha came up with this riddle.
Yeah.
Well done
Yeah.
on the rhyming scheme
Yeah.
on all of it. Like
Yeah.
that's a it's a well thought out riddle,
It's a
I
good
must
one.
say.
It's a
Yeah,
good one.
it's a little poem.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this riddle, and again, just as a reminder of the rules that we got last week from Amarantha herself, Feyre gets one shot at solving this riddle. And if she doesn't, lights out, she's dead, right? And God knows what else. Um, but if she does guess the answer quickly or correctly, she's freed, Tamlin's freed, and the entire Spring Court is freed.
Mhm.
So massive stakes.
Yeah. Massive. Huge.
And she can answer at any time
Yeah.
too. That's the other thing
Yeah.
is she can answer it now. In theory, I would think she can answer it in the middle of a trial. She can answer it. I mean, I guess if she were in her cell, she'd have to call a guard and be like, I have the
Yeah.
answer." But in theory, anytime is when she can answer this.
Yeah. And it's not like she can just like, she only gets one try.
This is not a Riddles 3
Exactly.
situation. It's
Yeah,
a Riddles
exactly.
1.
And I think like there's a lot of word usages here
Mm. Mhm.
that makes me really question if if like a spell or if like Amarantha put
Mm.
something on Feyre to not be able to guess this riddle right away or something. Because
Interesting.
right after Amarantha says her name, she has that line that says, "Everything became thick and murky."
Oh, yeah.
And then because she's like, she says Feyre's name, and then she tells her the riddle. And
Right.
then after the riddle, there's a lot of these like my mind went blank, my
Mm.
mind was a void. And there's a lot of possibilities like of what that could be. Like, if anyone has had to try to answer something tricky on the spot, right? Like your brain
Right.
can kind of just like,
Yeah.
like have complete issues. But Because then even later when she goes back to her cell, she like she thinks about it more, and like she has like nothing. And
Right.
like I don't know. I mean, I could just be like reading between the lines here, but I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting that she wanted, because there also is a lot of conversations in other fairy magic books
Mm.
that there's a lot of power in a name, and that you
Yes.
are more likely to be able to cast a very particular style of spell on someone if you know their like true name.
Right.
I mean, and to be fair, our girl, we know she's not a literary broad. So there
Right.
could be a level
Yes.
of she just can't really do riddles, you know?
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know. It's something I wanted to bring to the class.
That's a great point. I didn't clock that actually.
Yeah.
And it is curious. I mean, regardless if I mean, first off, if Amarantha put a spell on her or something on her that makes it impossible for her to answer, I mean, what a shitty like just rigging the game left and right, cuz I mean, we already know she's basically rigged the game with Tamlin's curse,
Yeah.
right? Like she made it near
Yeah.
impossible.
Well, because there no one ever said like you'll be given the riddle with a fair chance to, like,
Right.
there was no wordage, verbiage, language.
You know what this is making me realize? I feel like there needs to be like I feel in Prithian there'd be a good market for like Fey attorneys. Like, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like
totally.
I am not agreeing to this bargain until my attorney is right here,
And I need
like
every
checking over all of
single
it.
word written down, how you phrased it, the lilt, like I need everything. But yeah, I don't, it was a weird thought that I had, because
Yeah,
it's just there's some interesting word choices, but yeah, baby girl doesn't she doesn't get it in the moment. It's really sad because the last line of that little portion on page 314, she says, "As they locked me in my cell once more, I knew I was going to lose."
yep,
And I think the scope of this is getting to our girl.
yeah,
I think Amarantha is succeeding a little bit at her game. But I think like the scope of power that's just being casually tossed around, I think is really, really getting to her, because then basically the end of this chapter, 314, 315, is
yeah,
pretty much a slow descent into fear.
yes,
She's overthinking, there's self-doubt. Like we are really kind of seeing that descent into what isolation does to people, right? Because she thinks she's probably been in there for maybe 2 days.
yeah,
There's no more visits. She's getting stuck on the word, right? On word usage. Like this is when,
yep,
the first thing we brought up in the beginning of the talking about immediately, that word used about the riddle. But like
right,
we are seeing the very classic stuck in a cell, isolated, injured, like the descent into madness and fear, and guilt. 315, she's like, Amarantha had claimed there wouldn't be enough left of me to play with if I failed a
yeah,
trial, and I prayed that she hadn't lied. Better to be obliterated than to endure Jurian's fate.
yeah.
I think we can all agree with her on that. Yeah.
Absolutely. It is rough, doesn't even
No.
begin to describe it.
No.
And that's basically where we leave off, right?
The
Like,
first, well, we leave off and her cell door is opened and
yes,
the full moon has arisen. We're about to get the first task.
first trial, which we will get to next week. So because it's the first trial and it's a doozy of a trial, we can tell you that we're only going to cover chapter 36 because there will be a lot to talk about. So gird your loins, prepare yourself. In the meantime, though, we would love it if you subscribed, rated, and reviewed us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. It really helps us get out to other ACOTAR fans and ACOTAR fans in the making. You can also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Cauldron Save Us Pod. That helps get us out there. We've actually been having some really fun conversations on the TikTok,
Yeah.
especially. It's a really fun one that I actually want to talk about, something that was said on it in the spoiler chapter or
Mhm.
spoiler episode.
Mhm.
So yeah, come over, watch, comment, chat with us. You can also chat with us at cauldronsaveus@gmail.com if email is more your style.
Yep. Woo, woo,
But
woo.
we are getting to the real meat and potatoes
Getting to real meat and potatoes. It's gonna be great.
of this book. Oh, I can't wait.
So excited. As always, our lovely, lovely friends, you're welcome.
And we're sorry. Bye, everyone.
Bye.